Hi everyone, and welcome to Noona's Noonchi, where I do a deep dive into some of our favorite K-dramas from a mental health perspective. Well folks, the Reply series is going bye-bye off of Netflix. Reply 1997, Reply 1994, and my favorite, Reply 1988. I'm sure you figured that out. I've done quite a few deep dives on it. So in celebration, in honoring these wonderful K-dramas, let's do a deep dive back. I thought about it 1997, 1994, but I'll be honest. So someone told me this, my gal pal, Bina Hartz, who writes for Soompi. I made the mistake of technically watching and finishing Reply 1988 first. It's the newer K-drama of the three, and that was apparently my mistake because it's the best one. So then when I went to Reply 1997, I was like, I did finish it finally, and then 1994 started and didn't finish. I'm gonna admit it. I'm sure you folks are like, what? Because it's very popular and you like them all, but it was hard. I was like, I didn't really feel that, even though I was brought up in that era, though 1988 probably relates a little bit more to my era, the latter half of that, 1990 maybe, but I still related a lot to 1998. These are what you would call, and what my gal pal Bina Hartz referred to as slice of life K-drama. She has a great article on it, by the way, but so slice of life. Right? That's why we love the Reply series. We relate to so much of it, especially perhaps the kinship and friendship, the coming of age stories, relating to some of the characters, the fangirling, and then in Reply 1988, which I'm going to point out, specifically a lot of the characters and the things that they've gone through or going through, the family dynamics, even the friendship among the parents, we all enjoyed. So, deep diving into particularly Jung-bong, the older brother, the goofy older brother of Chong-hwan. He was involved with the love triangle. He was technically the second lead with Tuk-sun and Taek. Boo-hoo on that one too, because I wanted to see them get together. But Jung-bong, I want to say he was an underrated character. I think a lot of folks liked him, but I really liked him. He had pockets of things he would say and do that were charming. His charisma would stand out. He also had aegyo. He was so good. He charejod. It's the Korean word for like taking care of his younger brother, and even his younger brother Chong-hwan loved him and really liked him, right? They got along. He was affectionate. I loved how he would just talk about Tongseng, and then he would have these like snippets of wisdom that he would bring out that the K-drama would feature. It was really funny. But he struggled, right? We saw that he wasn't the best student. Perhaps you relate. He was kind of like Tuk-sun in that way, right? Tuk-sun had a lot of aegyo. She's a female protagonist, but wasn't the typical brainiac and top student, right? She also struggled, and so did Jung-bong. We saw that throughout the drama where Jung-bong struggled. He couldn't pass his college exams, and you would see that struggle with the parents going, yeah, he didn't do it again. He technically failed again, right? And then in the latter half of the drama where he was trying to study for law school and the bar exam. Yeah, the bar exam to get into law school, and then he decides to let it go. His girlfriend, Tuk-sun's best friend, said something really good, like, I want you to pursue your passion. I'm gonna bring this up because sometimes in families, we get stuck on traditions, and we need to unlearn those patterns of getting stuck on the cultural traditions that sometimes may not make sense because every child is unique. And parents, if I'm speaking to you, and this may hit you, where you want to see your child do the typical things of going to college, yes, getting into graduate school or law school. And this is hard for me to say, but it may not work out for them. And perhaps that's best. And bringing up the example of Jung-bong, who struggled and still was diligent in following his parents' lead and trying to do the best to get into college, and then later on trying to go to law school and study for the bar exam, but then deciding to give it up. And then he has this conversation toward the beginning of episode 20, which I thought was very well done. And the typical head down, right? And you see the parents there, and of course you love the dad's response, but he says, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to do a part-time job instead. But he does say, I know the path that I'm going to do, and I'll keep you posted on when things work out or when I know exactly where I'm headed. I think that was very poignant. Mom didn't like it. I'll explain later her side of it, but the dad was like, I approve, Chansong, yep, you go for it. Of course he would do that. We know that's consistent with the dad's character. And then later on, Tuk-sun as an adult and Taek as an adult shares, guess who they say became the biggest out of all of them? Not necessarily biggest success. They don't really say it that way, right? Because success is subjective. All of them are successful in their own way with family and relationships and marriage and their jobs and how they're happy. They're saying that he hit it big. he became this celebrity out of all of them, alluding to the fact that financially he was doing fabulous as a famous chef. I'm bringing this out because through it all you see him struggle. But you don't see him struggling when it comes to making the best ramen, best ramen, right? Toksun shared, yeah, I loved his ramen the best. His mom even said, oh, we're gonna have Jung-bong cook some kimchi 볶음밥 and then we'll be good to go. He did the cooking. You saw that, but we kind of didn't really see that because we saw more of the struggles. That's what we tend to see, right? The problems. But hidden underneath that storyline is what made him into a success. He pursues his passion, not just his passion, but what he was good at, right? Which probably led to his passion. And then he has his own show as Chef Jung-bong or Chef Bong or whatever they call it, right? And Tech shares about that at the end. What's my point, folks? To parents, how can you not get stuck on the traditions of our culture, especially Asian culture, when it's about achievement and success, going to college, going to graduate school, making a lot of money? Jung-bong ends up making a lot of money and becomes a celebrity in cooking that he was really good at. But it was hard to see that. Now, Jung-bong's mom, Jung-hwan's mom, we realized later that she didn't go to college. And Jung-bong's dad shares that with him, and he's like, what? I didn't know this. Because we have that parents projecting on what they want for their kids. I'm gonna bring this up again because this is a big family dynamic where you see a lot of the struggles of kids, regardless of age, teenagers, college students, even later on young adults struggling to tell their parents that they want to pursue something that parents are like, don't. We want you to do this, X, Y, Z. We have it laid out because this is what we want for you. This is what looks good. This is what helps us, let's admit, right? Asian parents want to look good. Actually, all parents want to look good. But particularly in our culture when it's about reputation and what our child is doing. And even now in the Asian American culture, as a mom, I face it too. Hey, where's your kid going to school? What are they studying? Oh, do they have a job yet? You get these questions. And not just from Asians. And it's hard to not want to brag or boast and then be like, not sure what my son wants to do. I'm not sure where my daughter's headed, right? Let's admit it. So parents, if you're struggling with where your child's at, let's look through the lens of solution focus. Wait, where are they shining? And can I accept the fact that they are not going the traditional path? And they may not start off that way, they may end up that way, maybe going back to college or graduate school. And by the way, folks, you could be studying to be a doctor and then later on give that up for something else, like I did. Or I know many folks that have studied through one thing and ended up doing something completely different. So life takes us that way that we cannot plan for. But parents, for that angst, what could you do to sort through things with your child, regardless of age, of what they may want to do, and ask them about it at least. At the very least, if it's difficult, let's have a conversation first and not be like, nope, can't do it, sorry, right? Because that leads to a lot of mental health stress. The distress surrounding that, your child may pull away from you and decide not to talk to you whatsoever, and you don't want that. You still want to have that relationship. So can you at least have a conversation that's open-ended for discussion? Unlearn those patterns of being told or telling your kids what they need to do. On the flip side, kids, your parents may be hard to approach, but what can you do if, at the very end, if you want to get your point across? I know they're not going to like this, but this is what I'm really definitely sure that I'm good at and want to do, like Jung-bong did. Now, he said it very humbly, but he had an idea, right? Couldn't you see that in episode 20 early on? He's like, no, I know what I want to do. That's not the path for me, law school. But I'm on this path and I'll keep you posted. It was pretty confident, even though he was being humbled about sharing it. And sure enough, as we see later, Toksun pointing it out, that he became the biggest out of all of them, as in celebrity status and how famous he became because of his cooking. That's my point. Be a student of your student again. Be a student of your student, parents. Kids, being a student of your parent is super important too. I'm going to bring it up again. This is a consistent conflict I see. How can you unlearn, break some of those patterns just because it's been in the family and it may not make sense anymore? Your child is unique. We're all unique. Parents, you're unique too. So maybe you can change the trajectory of your student's path for the sake of everyone's happiness and for, I would say, peace in the family and harmony. It may not look like the way it traditionally does, but so what? That's okay. Mental health is not linear. It is circular, folks, as I've said before. This is just a reminder. If you haven't seen Reply 1998, well, you have a couple days left, or you can see that on Viki. It's still there, and still catch up on the Reply series on Viki and not on Netflix, but it goes bye-bye soon. Thanks for watching Noona's Noonchi. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button to get notified of new episodes to come.